The one person who showed up at William Frawley's funeral that no one thought they would. William Clement Frawley was born on February 26, 1887, in Burlington, Iowa. He went on to become one of the most famous and liked people in American television history. He will always be known for his famous part as Fred Mertz on the hit TV show I Love Lucy. In that role, he became the perfect witty, cigar-smoking, and grumpy neighbor. But Frawley's rise to fame wasn't easy. As an actor, he had many different parts in vaudeville and movies over the course of many years before he finally made it to TV. Because of his unique skills, great timing, and easygoing charm, he became one of Hollywood's most famous character players. As a child, Frawley was interested in theater because he came from a family with a lot of theater history. His mom and dad. Both of them worked in the arts and pushed Frawley to go into the performance arts. When he was young, he went to Chicago and started working as a vaudeville performer. This is where he learned how to be funny. Besides that, he played different parts in local plays, which helped him build a career that would eventually take him to Hollywood. By the early 1920s, Frawley had made it to the movies and had parts in a number of movies. Silent movies and small roles shaped his early career. But when sound movies became more famous, they were his big break. Soon, Frawley was in high demand as a character player in Hollywood because of his unique voice and sense of humor. During the 1930s and 1940s, he was in more than 100 movies, and most of the time he played the brash, tough, but eventually likable everyman. Frawley became best known for her work on I Love Lucy, though. When the show first started in 1951, Frawley was chosen as Fred Mertz, Ethel Mertz's grumpy but kind husband. Vivian Vance played Ethel Mertz. This job would become his most important legacy. Frawley did a great job playing Fred. He had great timing and could show a lot of different feelings, from grumpy frustration to deep love for his friends and family. It was clear that he and Vance got along on TV. They worked well together as comedians, and it was a big part of the show's success. Frawley's part in I Love Lucy was very important to how the show worked. Lucille Ball and Desi Arnaz's characters were great fun to watch against Fred and Ethel. The Mertzes often got into trouble with their friends. Even though Lucy's crazy plans often hurt Fred, Frawley's acting gave the character a sense of love, loyalty, and warmth, and a love for his fellow characters that made the story more real for viewers. Fred Mertz was one of the most memorable characters in TV history. He was great at saying witty one-liners and could show real love even though he was often tough. Fans loved Frawley. But going through life behind the scenes wasn't always easy. Frawley was known for being hard to work with, mostly because he was irritable and had problems with drinking. These personal problems sometimes got in the way of his work relationships, including with his co-stars. For example, his relationship with Vivian Vance was known to be tense. The real-life friendship between Vance and Frawley was often tense, because Vance was younger and more lively than Frawley. There was a problem between them because of their age difference and Frawley's sometimes bad behavior. During the later years of I Love Lucy, Frawley's problems with drinking became even worse. Because of his personal problems, the show's makers were worried at one point, and there were even plans to find someone else to play his part. But Frawley's ability could not be denied, and he was able to keep performing even though he was having personal problems. His professionalism and commitment to his job are shown by the fact that he can give a good performance even when things are going badly. Frawley kept working in TV after I Love Lucy finished in 1957, but he was never able to reach the same level of success again. Some of the other TV shows he was in, like the Lucy Daisy Comedy Hour and My Three Sons, didn't have as much of an effect on culture or history as his work on I Love Lucy. In the 1960s, he was in a few movies as well, but his health was getting worse and his family life was getting worse, and his family life was getting harder. After a while, Frawley's health started to get worse. He had many health problems, and his problems with alcohol kept getting in the way of his life. He passed away on March 3, 1966, only a few days after making a guest appearance on the TV show My Three Sons. He was 79 years old. When Fred Mertz died, it was the end of an era for TV fans because he was one of the most beloved character players in the history of the medium. In 1966, William Frawley, an actor who was best known for his part as Fred Mertz on the hit TV show I Love Lucy, died at the age of 79. He was one of the most famous and loved people in television history. His family, friends, and co-workers all came to his funeral, but there was one person who surprised a lot of people. He worked with Vivian Vance on I Love Lucy for a long time. People knew that Frawley and Vance didn't get along and didn't like each other, so her showing up at his funeral was a very unexpected act of kindness. On I Love Lucy, Frawley and Vance's friendship was often tense, and they had trouble getting along with each other in real life. Frawley and Vance played Fred and Ethel Mertz, a married pair who lived next door to Lucy Ricardo, the main character of the show. They were the show's witty and often annoyed neighbors. Their on-screen chemistry didn't always match how they were together in real life. Frawley and Vance did not get along at all behind the scenes. Frawley was known for being irritable and sour, and he often had problems with Vance, who was younger and more serious. It was said that Frawley's rude behavior and Vance's discomfort with some of his rude comments and actions caused them to fight. Indeed, it was well known that Vance didn't like Frawley, and the cast and crew talked about it. It is said that she even asked to be put with a different actor while the show was running. Vance is said to not have liked Frawley's drinking a lot, not being reliable on set, and sometimes acting in a way that seemed unprofessional. Their working relationship got so bad that they avoided each other when the cameras weren't running, and you could feel the tension while the movie was being made. It is important to remember that both Frawley and Vance were true professionals when they worked on I Love Lucy, even though they didn't like each other. The show's huge success and lasting impact would not have been possible if they couldn't put aside their differences and give great performances. Their roles as Fred and Ethel Mertz became one of the most famous TV couples ever, even though they had a very bad relationship in real life. A lot of people were confused when they heard that Vance had gone to Frawley's funeral. Someone who was said to have disliked her co-star for a long time would choose to be at his funeral, though. There are several possible reasons for this unexpected act of respect and kindness, and all of them have to do with how complicated their relationship is. One possible reason is that Vance may have felt very loyal to the show and the people she worked with, even though they were different. The show I Love Lucy was a huge part of her career, and she may have known how important Frawley was to its success. Even though they didn't get along well personally, Vance may have seen Frawley as a co-worker who helped make the show a groundbreaking success on TV. Going to his funeral might have been a sign of professional respect and a way for her to remember the legacy they had built together. It's also possible that over time, Vance knew that Frawley had flaws and felt sorry for him because he knew that many people have problems. Their relationship on I Love Lucy was tense, but it's possible that their conversations had gotten better in the years before Frawley's death, and Vance may have learned to forgive or understand her. She may have thought that his death marked the end of an age and that, even though they didn't agree, it was important for her to show up and pay her respects. Some sources say that Vance felt better about Frawley as his life was coming to an end. In this point in time, Frawley had hit a rough patch with health problems and money problems. It's possible that Vance chose to do something nice for Frawley's funeral because he knew how hard things had been for him in his later years. For a while now, the actor's health had been getting worse, and maybe Vance, who had seen Frawley's problems from afar. They thought that her going to his funeral would help end their troubled relationship. The idea of getting back together after a long time is another part of this story. It's possible that as the years went by, Vance thought back on the time they worked together with fondness and understanding. The stress of working on a new TV show and the personalities of the people involved may have made it hard for them to get along at times. But Vance might have been able to see how different they really were if they had had more time and space. In this light, her choice to go to Frawley's funeral could have been a sign that she understood that, despite their personal problems, they had both been a part of something unique and important in the world of TV. Many people were shocked when Vance decided to go to Frawley's funeral. It also showed how complicated and multifaceted human connections can be. It was a warning that even when there was battle, there can be times when people accept, understand, and even make peace with each other. The fact that Vivian Vance went to William Frawley's funeral showed that in the end, people can put aside their differences and do kind things that can make up for past problems. It was a touching and surprising tribute to the actor who had starred with her for so many years. And it showed how strong the link was that I Love Lucy had made. Not only on TV, but also in the hearts of everyone who helped make it happen.